Good morning, everyone. I am N.S. Chandan Shri, Assistant Professor in M.S. Ramaya University of Applied Sciences, Bangalore. In today's session, we'll be understanding about leveling. So, the title of today's discussion is Introduction to Leveling. So, the content that we'll be covering in today's class is on different types of levels, different types of leveling methods, and we'll try to solve one or two problems, and we will also learn how to what are the temporary adjustments that has to be done for a leveling instrument. So before jumping into the understanding or before understanding the leveling instrument, we will just see the definition and principles and objectives of leveling. So definition of by the definition of leveling, it says that leveling is the art of determining the elevation of the given points. The points can be above or below or on the ground, and this the elevation or the height or the vertical distance from a datum is measured here. Now let us say we have set a datum. Now let us say we have set a datum and a point is here, and we have in leveling what we do is we measure the elevation with respect to the datum. What is its height, vertical height with respect to datum. The point can be below the surface of the earth also. Now in this process of leveling, it requires the measurements in the vertical plane. So now let us understand the basic principle of leveling. So the principle of leveling is to obtain a horizontal line of sight. Horizontal line of sight, if we set an instrument here, we would require a horizontal line of sight like this, so that it is easy for us to measure the vertical measurement. And horizontal line of sight with respect to the vertical distances of the points above or below this line. So now depending on this horizontal distance, horizontal line, we can decide whether the points are above or below one another. The reference can be taken with the help of this horizontal line of sight. The primary objective of leveling is to find the elevation of the given point with respect to some assumed reference line, which is called as datum. Now there are different types of datum that can be assumed. So it is not a random value or random reference line that we are assuming as a datum. So for the surveys we use the proper datum, which is called as benchmarks, about which we will be learning in the further slides. Next is to establish a point that required at required elevation respect to datum. So these are the two objectives of leveling. Next, let us go through the terms used in leveling. So first is level surface. It is the surface parallel to the mean spheroidal surface of the earth. So level surface, or this is the surface, level surface is parallel to the mean spheroidal surface. That means the surface of the earth is represented here in the blue line, and we know that there is no the surface of the earth is not flat. So the mean spheroidal surface is considered, and level line is parallel to that mean spheroidal surface. Next is level line. So level line is the line lying on the level surface. Horizontal plane. Horizontal plane through a point is horizontal plane through a point is a plane tangential to the surface. This is the horizontal plane. It is tangential to the level surface. Horizontal line is a straight line tangential to the level line. So for this level line, if you draw a tangent like this, this becomes the horizontal line. Next is the datum. It is an arbitrary level surface from which elevation of points may be referred. In India, the mean sea level is considered as the datum 0. So now mean sea level is measured for a number of years, and the average level is taken out, and that is designated as mean sea level. So it was located at Karachi earlier, but nowadays we take the mean sea level which is averaged out at Mumbai. Next is elevation or reduced level. So we now initially in the definition itself, definition of leveling itself, we learned that leveling is an art of determining the elevation of the given points. Elevation is vertical height. So that vertical height or the depth, if the point is above the datum, it is height. If the object is below the datum, then it is uh, depth. Height or depth, but both are measured in vertical plane. So height or depth of an object above or below any datum is known as reduced level. So reduced level of that particular point is given. Next is benchmark. Benchmark is a fixed point of reference whose elevation is already known. So any point with known elevation is called as a benchmark. Next is line of collimation. So line of collimation is the line joining the intersection of crosshairs of the diaphragm to the optic center of the object glass and its continuation. This is also known as line of sight. Now the dumpy level that we use has the telescope. In the telescope there is one eyepiece and there is a object lens. So this line of collimation is the line when we see through the when we see through this when we see through the eyepiece, we see that there is a crosshair like this. So now this crosshair, the center of this crosshair to the center through this optic center of this telescope and further. So this is from inside to be precise. When the line lies inside the telescope, it is called as line of collimation, but beyond this it is called as line of sight. Next is height of the instrument. So when we set an instrument, so when we set an instrument here, set it on the telescope, this line of sight is set at a particular height from the ground. So this height of line of sight or line of collimation, that is what is mentioned here. It is the elevation of the line of collimation with respect to the datum, and the height is determined by sighting it back to a datum, or datum means keeping the leveling staff on a benchmark with known elevation, and when you add the RL of benchmark to the staff reading here, so RL of benchmark plus staff reading will give us the height of the instrument. Next is foresight. So there are three readings that we take. One is the backside reading, another one is the foresight reading, third one is the intermediate sight reading. So backside and foresight means backside readings are nothing but when we set the instrument at any particular point, the first reading that we take is backside. The last reading that we take from the station, that is written in foresight. So from here the survey is starting from BM1, benchmark 1. So when an instrument 1 is set here, the first reading is taken on the leveling staff, and that is backside reading, and the last reading, that is foresight reading. Then remaining all the other readings that are taken are considered as intermediate sights. Then change point. Change point means from the station 1, if we want to shift to station 2, what is done is the foresight reading is taken at point, let us say this is point X, or this is change point 1. Okay, we'll name this as TP1 only. So this, from this instrument station, the staff is held at TP1. So what happens is we take the last reading from instrument 1 on this leveling staff held at TP1, and we move the instrument from station 1 to station 2. Once we move it to station 2, we have to set it, all the temporary adjustment has to be done. After that, again sight back to the same point. Sighting back to the same point will help us in getting the reference. Now because we have calculated the foresight and we already know the benchmark RL here, we can calculate the RL of this point TP1. So this also will act as a benchmark for the further stations. Next, by sighting it here, we can get new height of the instrument. Next, to conduct this survey, we need two major things. One is level, that is auto level. The other one is leveling staff. This is the leveling staff. So leveling staff is a vertical scale, which is it comes in various lengths. Sometimes we get the leveling staff in 2-meter length, 3-meter length, 4-meter length, 5-meter length and 6-meter length. Even longer sometimes we get, but those are used for very special purposes. A level means it's an instrument giving the horizontal line of sight, and it magnifies the reading from the leveling staff. Here is the distance between the instrument and the staff will be very larger, but this level instrument will magnify the details. So it consists of following parts. It consists of a telescope to provide the line of sight. It consists of a level bulb, a level tube to make the line of sight exactly horizontal. Line of sight should never be inclined when we are taking the readings. Then the leveling head to bring the bubble to its center. Next we have the tripod to set the instrument. Next topic is types of levels. So different types of leveling instruments are there. These are the different types of levels. One is we have dumpy level, then we have weigh level, then we have Crookes reversible level, then tilting level, auto level and crushings level. So dumpy level is which looks something like this. So the main components of all these types of levels is one telescope, one leveling tube and 3 foot screws for the level. So dumpy level is a simple, compact and a stable instrument. The telescope is rigidly fixed to its supports. This is fixed to directly to the supports. It can be rotated about this vertical axis. It can be rotated in all the 360 degrees, but it cannot be rotated along about the horizontal axis. Next is tilting level. So tilting level, the difference between tilting level and a dumpy level is here additional screw is provided so that this level can be tilted. To a certain extent, the movement restriction is given. Movement restriction is removed from here. Next is weigh level. So the essential difference between weigh level and other levels is that weigh level, in this weigh level, what happens is the telescope is carried by two vertical supports. These are the two vertical supports which are called as weigh supports, and this telescope can be rotated or moved or even raised in weighs. Next is automatic level, or also called as auto level. This is also known as self-aligning level, and it is a recent development. The fundamental difference between auto level and other levels is that the leveling is not manual, but it is leveled automatically. So that is why the name auto level. Next, these are the parts of an automatic level. So first we have the bottom plate, and on the bottom plate 3 foot screws are placed. One is two are visible in this diagram, one is in the opposite side. Just like in case of the theodolite, here also we have 3 foot screws. After that, there is a circular level here. Then we have horizontal fine movement knob here, and this is the focusing knob for the telescope. If the objects are not clear, if the leveling staff is not clearly visible, then we have to turn this focusing knob and set the telescope. Next we have the optical sight here. Then we have eyepiece on this side, and we also have object lens on this side. And there is a screw at the bottom here which helps us in fixing this entire instrument to the stand. Next we have leveling staff. Now this leveling staffs, as I told you, it can come in different length designations. There are two types of leveling staff. One is self-reading leveling staff, the other one is target leveling staff. Self-reading leveling staff means self-reading leveling staff means reading leveling staff here means that when we sight the object, that is, if we have a leveling instrument here and we are sighting it to a leveling staff, this this reading can be taken from the person who is noting down the reading here. Next type is target leveling staff. Target leveling staffs are, we have a instrument set here, and this instrument can send a laser beam which is directly seen on the leveling staff, and the reading can be taken from the person holding the staff also. But in case of self reading leveling staff, this is not possible. We have this, only the person who is handling the instrument has to take the reading of. Now if we are seeing the leveling staff like this through the telescope, the line we have to take the reading here where the horizontal line coincides. Next we have folding leveling staffs. So these are, if the length is too high, these kind of folding leveling staffs also can be used. This function similar to the earlier ones. Only thing is we can reduce the while carrying the cumbersomeness while carrying or handling this reduces. And this is another type of leveling staff where we have this is called as telescopic leveling staff. We can obtain the full length. It will be the full, the one each section here is of 1 meter, and it will be put inside this, but when required we can open this out and use it. Next, the topic is benchmarks. So as discussed earlier, benchmark is a point with known elevation. There are 4 kinds of benchmarks. First one is GTS benchmarks, that are called as Great Trigonometric Survey benchmarks. Then we have permanent benchmarks. Then we have arbitrary benchmarks and temporary benchmarks. So GTS benchmarks are the benchmarks established with very high degree of precision, and they are placed at regular interval, and these are placed at regular interval by Survey of India department here, and this is placed across the country at different locations, and their positions and RL's values above mean sea level, which is above or below. If above mean sea level the values are there, we can see an example here. This is a GTS benchmark wherein the level is mentioned here. We can see the level that is mentioned here, 455.235 232 meters, and if the elevation is negative, if it is below the surface of the earth, they put negative sign here. other or even the archaeological departments, etc. And these benchmarks are written on permanent objects like milestones, culverts, or bridges, sides of the bridges. If we see the benchmarks. So here, if we move to any of the railway station, we see the RLs mentioned like this. And these will serve as a reference. Next comes the arbitrary benchmarks. These are the reference point whose RLs are arbitrarily assumed. So now if we do not know the RL of the point where we have to start the survey, we can randomly we can assume it to be one arbitrary value like 10 meters, 100 meters, 50 meters, or any random value, and all the other calculations will be based on this reference point. With respect to the arbitrary value that we assume, we will have to conduct the survey. So generally we don't use arbitrary benchmarks for the major projects. So even for the minor projects we don't use arbitrary benchmark, but it is only used for learning purposes. Next it is temporary benchmarks. These are the reference point established during the leveling operations when there is a break in work, or we have to now let us say there is a project, road construction project, and we have to end the survey after day 1, and we have to continue again and on day 2. So while ending the survey, we will fix up a point where the last survey was done, and so that it would be helpful for us to continue the next day. And those kinds of benchmarks are called as temporary benchmarks. Now after the benchmarks, next topic is temporary adjustments to levels. So in the temporary adjustments, so first there are certain steps that are followed. First one is setting up the level. Setting up the level means, as you can see in this image, a tripod stand is used to fix this instrument on the stand. So when we set up the instrument, first thing that we have to observe is whether the instrument that we are setting is exactly on the point. That can be checked with the help of a plumb bob. Then there is a knob at the bottom here which is helped to screw into this dumpy level or any kind of level that we are using. After the instrument is set on the tripod stand, the heights of the legs are adjusted, everything is done to center it. After that, leveling is done. So leveling, now there are 3 foot screw system here. In using this 3 foot screw system, leveling is done by the following process. Now if you see, initially the telescope is kept parallel to the any 2 foot screws. We can choose any 2 among these 3 and we can align the foot screws. Now here if you see, there is 1 foot screw here, there is the another foot screw here, and the telescope here is aligned parallel to the any 2 foot screws. After that, we have to rotate both the foot screws both inwards or both outwards. It is not like one clockwise or anti-clockwise. It is, we have to rotate it both inwards or both outwards. When we do that, the bubble here will come to the center. Once the bubble comes to the center, then change the direction of the telescope and keep it in line with the third one. So a second time you have to keep it like this, in line with the third one, and now rotate this third screw either clockwise or anti-clockwise direction again to bring that same bubble to the center. So if your bubble is in the center in all these 3 directions, then it is understood that the instrument is leveled. So once the instrument is leveled, we have to focus. Now focusing, there are 2 lenses which we have to focus. One is eyepiece we have to focus, the other one is the object lens. So eyepiece, when we see initially, it will look like this. A blurred image will be seen and the blur lines will be seen here. So when we turn the ring near the eyepiece, we will start seeing this lines clearly. So once we start seeing these lines clearly, it is understood that we have focused the eyepiece. Next is object piece. Now look through the telescope and see, now these lines are clear, but the object is not clear. So what we have to do? We have to turn the focusing knob until the object becomes clear like this. So only when the object becomes clear, we can take the readings. So once we get these things, it is said that the instrument is set up. The next, this leveling can be classified under separate categories depending on for what purpose this survey is done, or depending on what type of survey, what type of method is used for leveling. So we'll see one by one. First one is simple leveling technique. So this is the simplest method used when it is required to find the difference in elevation between 2 points. So in this method, what is done, instrument is set here, and the staff is kept initially on a benchmark. So all first reading always it should be kept on a benchmark and the reading should be taken. The RL of the benchmark is given here. Once we set the staff is in vertical scale, so it will give us the height of the instrument, or it will give us this height from here to here. So now in this case it is showing as 1.6 meters. Now by adding the RL of the benchmark to the staff reading, we will get the height of this line. This is the height of the instrument. So once we get the height of the instrument, we can keep the leveling staff anywhere on any required point, and again the staff reading can be taken. So if we take multiple readings before shifting, all those readings are written in intermediate site column, and the last column is written in foresight column. So once we know the height of the instrument, we can subtract intermediate sites or the foresight to know the elevation of these ground points. That is simple leveling. Next is differential leveling. So there are three things here. One is differential leveling, the other one is fly leveling, the other one is check leveling. All these three, the method is same, only the purpose is different. In differential leveling, what happens is, if we want to know the elevation between 2 points, now let us say between this point and this point here, if you want to know the elevation difference or the vertical height difference, then what we can do the differential leveling. Here our purpose is to measure only the elevation difference, so we can only take down backside and foresight reading. We do not have to bother about other details of intermediate site reading. So this differential leveling is conducted only when the elevation between the known points is for different points has to be determined. Next we have fly leveling. Fly leveling is, now let us say we want to start the work at point A. Now we have to start the road at point A. Then we do not have any kind of benchmarks near this site A. And this road you have to run up to 1000 kilometers. Then we have to carry a benchmark from the nearest permanent benchmarks. So as discussed earlier, if we have a railway station here, somewhere near, let us say this distance is 10 kilometers. So in the vicinity of 10 kilometers, you have one railway station. So what we can do, from this railway station to this point, we can fly the leveling. So transferring the level from this point to this point is fly leveling. Here also we don't have to bother about intermediate sites, we just have to carry the level. So we will only take care of, we will only note down the backside and the foresight readings. Next is check leveling. So this check leveling is also the similar procedure, but only thing here is, in the check leveling what we do is we start the work at one point, and at the end of the day we will stop the work at another point. Now how do you check whether whatever survey we have done in the entire day is correct or wrong? So what we have to do is, once we finish doing the survey, before winding up we have to go back to the first point of that day and check. Now when we go back to the first point, the RL that you have got at the beginning of the day and the ending of the day should match. So in that case we can say that whatever surveying we have done is correct. Next is profile or L section. So L section is also called as longitudinal section. Now let us consider one road like this. Now longitudinal section is the RL along this, or the reduced level along this portion. cross section or the profile section or C section is the profile along this section. So profile leveling means getting the profile of the line, that is getting the elevation of the land both in L section, both in longitudinal as well as in the transverse direction. So these kind of work, this kind of survey is conducted for the projects like alignments of the project like road, railway or canal projects like that. Yeah, cross sectioning I told you in the transverse direction. If we take the levels, then it is called as cross sectioning. So it is generally taken like we mark the center line. From the center line at certain intervals on either side, the levels are noted down. Next is precise leveling. It is used to establish a benchmark for future public use. It is carried out with high degree of accuracy using advanced instruments. Next is trigonometric leveling. In this method, the vertical distance between the points computed. Now the vertical distance is calculated using the vertical angle values. So now if we want to measure the height of a tower, we cannot set up the instrument in the air. So for that purpose, what we do is we measure the angles and indirectly measure the elevation. So this comes under trigonometric leveling. For this purposes, we generally use theodolites instead of the dumpy levels or the conventional leveling instruments. Next is barometric leveling. In this type of leveling, as the name indicates, barometer means measuring the altitude difference with the help of a barometer. Barometric leveling is based on the fact that the atmospheric pressure will vary inversely with the height. As the height increases, the atmospheric pressure will decrease. So they will measure the atmospheric pressure and then correlate with the elevation difference. In this method, a barometer is used to determine the differences in elevation of the points which differ considerably in heights as in a hilly area or a mountainous area. So this is chiefly used on exploratory or in the reconnaissance survey. So this kind of leveling or the barometric leveling is not it is not used when actual survey is done. Just to know the rough details of the features on the ground during the reconnaissance survey, this kind of leveling is used. Since the pressure of atmospheric of the atmosphere at any point is constantly changing, and the barometer reading will be affected by the temperature of the air also. So as the temperature rises, the air becomes thinner and thinner, pressure decreases. As the density of the air increases, the pressure also will increase. So types of barometer used are, we have one is mercury barometer, the another one is aneroid barometer. So these are the two barometers that can be used. Next is hypsometric leveling. Hypsometric leveling means the working principle of this hypsometry is for determining the elevation depends on the fact that the temperature at which the water boils varies with the atmospheric pressure. So in barometric leveling, what we learnt was the as the elevation changes, the pressure also will change. Here in hypsometry, it is the basic principle is the boiling point of water will get reduced at higher altitude. That is the basic principle that is followed here. So as the pressure varies, the boiling point also will change. So thus the boiling point of water, the atmospheric pressure can be calculated, and knowing the atmospheric pressure, altitude or elevation can be determined. The altitudes of various points may be determined using hypsometer, also called as this hypsometer is also called as thermobarometer. So here the temperature of boiling of water is considered for the measurement of the elevation. So this instrument is called thermobarometer. Next is we have reciprocal leveling. So in this method, what is done is this method is adopted to accurately determine the difference of levels between 2 points, so which are very far apart. Now what happens is, let us say we are conducting a survey from somewhere here and we have reached this point. From this point we have to transfer it to the point on the other side. Because of some river or some kinds of obstruction here, this obstruction is obstruction to chaining. But not for ranging. So obstruction to chaining means we cannot measure the distance or hold the leveling staff along this region, but we can sight an object which is at this point. So in the reciprocal leveling, what we do is we will find the elevation difference between these 2 points A and B and then calculate the RLs. So here now here we set up one station at A and we set 2 fixed point A, and let us consider this point as 1 and this as 2. Now we measure we set up a instrument station at this point A and we will measure the elevation. We'll take the staff reading from A. We will take the staff reading at this point 1, which is termed as HA, and from the station A only we will again take the difference HB. Then from again we will set another station at B and measure the staff reading at these 2 points, which is termed as HA dash and HB dash. Now these values are taken and the true difference between point A and point B is calculated using this formula here. Now we will solve 1 or 2 problems on leveling. So first, there are 2 methods of calculation of reduced levels. First, we will learn about height of the instrument. So first method that we will be learning is height of the instrument method. Now the readings that are given to us in the field, we will only measure back sight, intermediate sight and foresight values. So the back sight value, okay, we will write down the values now. So back sight is 0.385, intermediate sight is 0.290, then another intermediate sight is 1.430, next we have 1.330, next we have 1. Next we'll write foresight as 3.505. Next on the same point the backside is taken. So here it is 2.350. Next intermediate sight is 1.500. Next foresight is 3.105. Okay, now these are the readings that are given to us. So with these readings, the first step that we'll be doing in the height of the instrument is finding out height of instrument, then reduced level. So RL for the first point is given, that is 383.453 meters. Now this is the benchmark. Now if you want to write the remark here, so this is the benchmark on which the first reading was taken. Now the height of the instrument is calculated by adding, height of the instrument is calculated by adding RL of benchmark plus backside. We'll get the height of the instruments. So at the first point, RL of the benchmark is 383.453 plus backside value is 0.385. So this value becomes 383.838. Now once we get the height of the instrument, from here till here the instrument is in the same position, because we have taken backside from this station, then we have taken intermediate side, and last reading was taken from the station as the intermediate side. Now for the first point we have calculated the height of the instrument. Next, from here till here the same height of the instrument will continue, as we have not changed the instrument. At this point we have changed the instrument station, so at this point we will have to calculate the height of the instrument again. Till then we will calculate the RL. Now RL of the second point is nothing but height of the instrument. Here what we have done, height of the instrument minus IS, intermediate side. So for the second point it is 383.383 minus 0.290. So that is 383.548. Similarly, this point again, it is height of the instrument 383.838 minus intermediate side, that is 1.430. So that is 382.408. For the next point, again height of the instrument is 383.838 minus intermediate side is 1.330. So this is 382.508. So till here it is calculated. Now next RL can be calculated, same formula, but instead of intermediate side we will use height foresight. So in this row foresight is there is no intermediate side here, so we will use foresight. So 383.838 height of the instrument minus foresight 3.505. So 3.505 when we do, it will get the answer as 380.333. So this is the RL of this point. Now because we have foresight and backside here, that indicates that this point is change point. CP is nothing but change point. Now the RL of now we have to calculate the new height of the instrument. New height of the instrument, how can you calculate? RL of the benchmark plus backside. So RL of the benchmark is, now for this new station this becomes the benchmark value. So it is 380.333 plus backside value, that is 2.350. So here it is, the new height of the instrument is 382.683. Now we got the new height of the instrument. This intermediate side and this foresight are taken from the station 2. So there is no need to calculate the height of the instrument again. Again we can calculate we can calculate the RLs now. So RLs are calculated using this formula, IS or FS. So here we don't, in this column we have IS, so new height of the instrument is 382.683 minus 1.500. So the RL of this point is 381.183. Next, last step is to find out the RL of this point. So height of the instrument 382.683 minus 3.105. So the RL is 379.578 meters. So this is how we calculate the reduced level of all these points using height of the instrument method. Now same thing if we have to calculate using the other method, that is rise and fall method, it would go like this. So the next method is before going to the next method, we would have to perform the check to check whether whatever we have done is correct or wrong. So check here. Check can be given by sigma backside minus sigma foresight, which is equals to last RL minus first RL. So sigma backside is, we have to add all these backside values. So when this is sigma backside. Sigma backside is how much? 0.385 plus 2.350. So sigma backside is 2.735. Sigma foresight is 3.505 plus 3.105. So this is 6.61. Next, we'll write those values here. Sigma BS is 2.735 minus sigma FS is 6.61, which is equals to last RL is 379.578 minus the first RL is 383.453. 383.453. So when we subtract this 2.735 minus 6.61, we get the answer as minus 3.875, which is equals to 379.578 minus 383.453. So that is minus 3.875. So if we get the answer, if we get the same thing here, then whatever we have done is correct. Check is found to be correct. Now next we will learn the next method, that is rise and fall method. So the data will be same. Okay, we'll write down these values: backside, intermediate side and foresight. Backside is 0.385, intermediate is 0.385, this is 0.290, this is 1.430, next is 1.330, next foresight is 3.505, same line backside is 2.350, next here it is 1.500, and the last reading is 3.105. So now this is the readings that are given to us. Now with the help of rise and fall method, we will calculate the elevation. So instead of next column being height of the instrument, here we will calculate rise and fall and then RL. So RL was given as 383.453. So it is 383.453. Now this is the data known to us. We will calculate the rise or fall. So here in this method, always remember, subtract first value from the second value. Now these are the values that you have to subtract. So first thing is, first value minus second value is 0.385 minus 0.290. So we get positive, that is plus 0.095. When we get positive, write those values in rise. When we get negative, write those values in fall. So for this column, the rise is 0.095. Next column, 0.290 minus 1.430. So we get the answer as minus 1.14. So minus 1.14, we will write it here, minus 1.14. All the negative values has to be written in fall column, all the positive values has to be written in rise column. Next is 1.430 minus 1.330. So the answer is plus 0.1. So we will write in rise column. Next is 1.330 minus 3.505. So the answer is minus 2.175. So we will write in fall column. Next is 2.350 minus 1.500. So plus 0.85. Next is 1.500 minus 3.105. So the value is minus 1.605. So once we get this positive and the negative values, we can calculate the RL. We can calculate the RL of these points by this method. So we know the RL of this point. RL of next point means it indicates, these columns indicate that the next point is 0.095 meters higher than the previous RL. So the RL of the second point will be 383.453 plus 0.095. So this RL would be 383.548. Next it says the readings in the fall column 1.14. This means the next point is 1.14 meters below this RL point. So that is 383.548 minus 1.14. So we'll get the answer as 382.408. We'll continue doing the same thing. Next RL is 382.408 plus 0.1. If the reading is in rise column, we have to add. If the reading is in fall column, we have to subtract. So the reading here is 382.508. Next reading is 382.508 minus 2.175. So this becomes 380.333. For the next column, 380.333 plus 0.85. So it is 381.183. Next, 381.183 minus 1.605, and this can be given as, this answer is 379.578. Now we have calculated, now this is the benchmark, this is the change point. From this example, we can see that the RLs calculated by either rise and fall method or the height of the instrument, these are the same values that we have got. So whichever method we follow, from both the method we will get the same result. Now the check for this can be performed. Check is equal to sigma backside minus sigma foresight, which is equals to last RL minus first RL, which is equal to sigma rise minus sigma fall. So sigma BS we had already calculated here. Sigma BS is 2.735. So this is sigma BS is 2.735. Sigma FS is equal to 6.61. Sigma rise and sigma fall we have to calculate. Sigma rise is 0.095 plus 0.1 plus 0.85. So this is sigma rise, which is equal to 1.045. Sigma fall is 1.14 plus 2.175 plus 1.605. This is 4.92. So when we substitute those values, this is 2.735 minus 6.61, which is equal to, first RL is 383.453, 383.453 minus last RL is 379.578, which is equal to sigma rise is 1.045 minus 4.920. So now when we calculate, this is 2.735 minus 6.61. This is minus 3.875, which is equal to 383.453 minus 379.578 is minus 3.875, which is equal to 1.045 minus 4.920. So this is again minus 3.875. So our check is correct. That means whatever we have solved is correct. So there are varieties of problems in leveling, but these are the simple ones wherein we learn to calculate the RLs of the points using two methods. One is height of the instrument method and the other one is rise and fall method. Thank you.